into extra time because it's Matt Dow wants to know. And when Matt Dow wants to know, no man can say thee nay. You were asking about Cerebus Jam. This looks like it's from Amazing Heroes Preview.
I'm not sure where it's from. Somebody posted those images on the Cerebus Facebook group, and when I read it, I'm like, so this is an announcement of something that, as far as I know, doesn't exist.
Right. Yes. I think this is what Heidi McDonald used to do when she still acknowledged that I existed. She was the person assigned to phone Dave Sim. I think they did an Amazing Heroes preview every 6 months. So before I would know it, 6 months would go by, and Heidi McDonald would be calling to find out what's happening in Cerebus for the next 6 months. And this was obviously just after Cerebus Jam number 1 had come out. And I was going, that was a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be. I didn't really know why it had been that difficult. I just thought, okay, I'll send these stories to people. The first issue, some of it went pretty smoothly. Scott and Bullhampton, that one was easy. Terry Austin, that one was easy. Will Eisner, that was an easy one to do. But this was for number 2. Mike Grell, Dick Giordano, Colleen Doran, and Barry Windsor Smith, with a cover by Barry Windsor Smith for the 3rd issue. And obviously none of that happened. The Mike Grell story exists as photocopies of the letter pages that I sent to them. I have seen them. They're in what's called the manila envelope cupboard upstairs at the off-White House. They're not in a manila envelope, but I have seen them. All 3 stories are together. The Mike Grell story, the Barry Windsor Smith story, and the Dick Giordano story, but just the lettering. And the Mike Grell story was a warlord on steroids kind of character. Like if Mike Grell's warlord character and the Hulk had a kid, what would that character look like? And it was funny because he's avenging the death of his family and his whole clan, and he's Borealan, I think, but he only speaks Borealan, and he's just slicing and dicing everybody in this bar. And one of the things that he's really, really steamed about was that they killed his cat, Mr. Whisker. And I had forgotten that line, and when I got to that, I went, "That's really funny. I wish this would have happened." And what happens is spoiler alert, he's chopping everybody up, and he gets to Cerebus, and Cerebus is the only guy in the bar who speaks Borealan, and says to him, "What bar is it that you were told all of these people that murdered your clan and your family and Mr. Whiskers are in?" And he said, the Dog and Pony. And he goes, "No, this isn't the Dog and Pony. This is whatever the name of the bar is. The Dog and Pony is like 2 blocks down and 2 houses over." And it's like, "Oh, thank you." And, he leaves having chopped up all of these people. So it was, it's a little short story, but I thought it was funny. The Dick Giordano story, character was a bureaucrat that Cerebus visits during the High Society campaign. Cerebus is there to get support from him for do a caricature of himself. He's disorganized and hard of hearing. Everybody knows that Dick was hard of hearing and trying to find something in his files. And again, it's just the lettered pages. Dick never got around to drawing it. I don't think it offended him. Dick and I were on very good terms right up to the point of his death. He did acknowledge having been one of the DC executives at the DC executive meeting that I had at the top of the sixes at Rockefeller Plaza with Jeanette Kahn and Bruce Bristow and Paul Evans and Dick Giordano. It was a DC freelancer that we ran across just coming off of the elevator to go up on the private elevator that goes up to the top of the sixes. And this guy's jaw just dropped open because it's like, here's all the entire top executive of DC Comics, and they're with Dave Sim going somewhere. And I just sort of said, oh, hi, whoever it was. I forget even who it was. And anyway, Dick did say to me in confidence long after he was no longer working at DC that, yes, everybody at the meeting was being way too greedy on DC's behalf. I was talking very sensibly, and they should have gone for the deal that I was talking about, which was you pick the dollar amount, whatever it is, at some point, if you licensed Cerebus to DC, we split 50-50 on the revenue, and all of the expenses come off on your side, because that's how they used to do it, and how they still do it for the in the comic strip field. It's always a 50-50 split of revenues with the cartoon. Like I say, I called it the Superman contract. If you knew that you were buying Superman, you knew that you were licensing Superman from Siegel and Schuster, and you knew that that was going to turn into, at what dollar amount would you go, yeah, we don't have to have any more than 50-50. We'll do fine, and Jerry Siegel and Jim Schuster will do fine. And that was just a complete non-starter with Jeanette and Paul Evans and Bruce Bristow. Dick Giordano was at the other end of the table and just sort of like grinning at me because, yes, he was a DC executive, but he was also a cartoonist. And he's like a plantation slave sitting there going, damn. He might get away with it. I don't know if he's going to get away with it, but damn. So, yeah, the story was this Dick Giordano, who was very disorganized and is always calling for Pat, who was his assistant, Pat Bastian, who he eventually married, left his first wife and married Pat. And always asking her, Pat, where's the such and such and such? She said, it's behind the such and such file. Pardon? You can't really hear her. And it's like, it's behind the such and such file. And he goes to it, and he finally finds the file and says to Cerebus, what was the question that you asked me again? Cerebus goes, Cerebus forgot. So that was that anecdote. The Barry Windsor Smith story, which Barry eventually sent back, was the Starsian's answer to Leonardo da Vinci. His thought balloons are all visual. They're like Leonardo's notebooks, and he just walks around looking at how people are doing things and imagining a mechanical device that could be invented that could do that much more effectively and much more easily. And he runs across young Cerebus fishing, and young Cerebus is fishing with his fishing pole, but instead of using it as a fishing pole, he's using it as a club. It looks like a fishing pole. He just watches for a fish and then slaps it down into the water to try and knock the fish unconscious. And this cracks up Leonardo da Vinci, but it works. He manages to club a fish, and rearing back with his fishing club, smacks Leonardo da Vinci in the face with the fish. And the last panel is Leonardo da Vinci imagining all of the different medical procedures he's going to have to go through to fix his face. still in the Cerebus archive.